Hello, welcome to another video. Let's talk about House of the Dragon Season 2. I just finished it, I know, I'm sorry, I'm like a day late, 2 days late. But the season has just finished and the internet does not seem too thrilled about it. And I 100% understand why and would say this whole season has seemed like a big setup slash like 50% filler in a way. I don't want to convincingly say like, oh, this whole thing's just filler, da da da. There is really good moments in the season, but the finale of season 2 left a feeling of just kind of like deflating in a way of like, oh, so like this is it. It seemed very out of place for a finale. It seemed more as if there was like 2 more episodes in the season, which seems crazy because we're going to be waiting 2 years. And let's be honest, probably 80% of the audience is going to forget a large chunk of stuff that was going on. But that's not to say the whole season was bad in any way. They had good moments, good episodes fully, and I would say good moments in the episodes that kind of felt like they were dragging on. Obviously, episode 4 with Rook's Rest. Best episode of the season by far. Mainly because there's a legit dragon fight in it. And I think that would probably be like the first legit dragon fight in the show. I don't think in season 1... I don't think in season 1 they actually like had a fight with the dragons like that. Which kind of... like it gave it that big moment, right? And that battle changed so much stuff going on in House of the Dragon that it makes up. It feels like it made up for a lot of the softer what the hell moments. Mainly because how season 2 ended, it ends with a montage of like, yep, we're going to war, it's on, and it feels like the end of season 1 did that, but better. Like at the end of the first season, Rhaenyra's son literally gets murdered by the other side's son. And it ends with her turning around like, yep, this is it. I'm finally fucking ready to just cause havoc. And that did not happen in season 2 really at all. It's crazy because it seemed like Rhaenyra House Black side was the more tame side of it. Well, they did some fucked up stuff, I will say. They did something really crazy. But it wasn't her that did it. It was the best character from season 1, or one of them, Daemon, who in season 2 went on a fucking vision quest for I don't even know how many episodes. It felt way, way too dragged out. I understand it. It had a decent like conclusion to his little story, like Daemon, what he did, the whole like how it ends with him. But I think a large chunk in the middle probably could have been chopped off. Also, in the finale, you've probably seen it online, they showed off an up-close picture of a White Walker. Didn't seem like they needed to do that at all. It looked like shit. You could have just used the guy you'd assume from the actual Game of Thrones, or just do a farther away thing that just makes you know that that's what it is, rather than this super close-up, some other person. It kind of looked like the Night King's right-hand man kind of situation. And a bad CGI close-up on his face. That's a small tangent. I don't understand. That was really stupid. They could have done that way different and way better. But that was part of Daemon's kind of story arc throughout the season, which really felt like it was just spinning its wheels. And that's kind of what it felt like a lot of the different players, I guess, in the game, in the House of the Dragon game, since it's not Game of Thrones, even though it is, just kind of doing the same thing. Like, the first 3 episodes of this season were they felt like a drag in ways. They did have moments, I don't want to spoil this moment because it is batshit crazy if you haven't seen it yet. They do have some form of a revenge situation for Rhaenyra's son being murdered, but it's not from her, and she takes 3 episodes to basically do nothing. And one of the worst scenes in the whole season happens right at the end of episode 3, where she's been doing fuck all for 3 episodes this far. She just magically gets into King's Landing. Realistically, she's public enemy number 1. She's probably on wanted lists everywhere in King's Landing. And she somehow just shows up there. I understand, obviously, it's not like she came with an army or her dragon or anything crazy to show off herself. but you would 100% expect people to know who she is because she is royalty. This isn't a time where like people are like backing her in the city at all. They're all actively hating, they're all worshiping the Greens at the time, right? But she shows up, talks to Allison to be like, hey, let's just call peace on this. Let's not go to war. Even though at the end of the first season, it was like, we're going to war. It's happening. So I don't know. This whole season just seemed too much of like Rhaenyra's side of it was just so tame in the fact of like, no, we don't want war. That's not what we want. You killed my son. I want payback, but I don't want war. Just give me my throne. Like it just seemed very odd. And it seemed like a lot of characters weren't actively pushing their agenda or doing little maneuverings, like typical Game of Thrones politicking, I guess. There was not much good of politicking happening in season 2 of House of the Dragon. I would argue most of the people were like just pure idiots when it comes to that part of it. With stuff like that. Allison also at the very end of the finale, I don't understand why they ended with this scene. She then shows up at Dragonstone out of nowhere after going on her own like vision quest thing the episode before. I don't know. Whenever that was on, I just stopped watching because it was just, I couldn't have cared less. It was pretty boring to me. Like that's just my thought how I was watching it. But she just shows up and then please her. And then it's basically the opposite of Rhaenyra. Like it switched sides where Allison's like, oh, I beg you, don't do this. Let's not do this. Let's just run away together or some random bullshit. And it's like, you are actively at war. You're going throughout the world and recruiting people that will give up their lives for you. Middle of all this, you're just like, okay, let's not fight. Allison, I understand. She's literally witnessed her son Aemon turn into a legit psychopath. So she obviously probably has like some feelings of like, well, this has gone too far. But it's still, I don't know. It still feels really weird. It feels like there's no cutthroatness or like pushing their own agenda to get what they want kind of thing when you're made to believe that Rhaenyra like wants the throne this bad. And it was weird because at the beginning of it was like Rhaenyra wants to go on her dragon, go and do shit, and her council was like, no, you have to stay here, you're too valuable, whatever kind of stuff. And then she takes that advice and gets to the point where she's like, you know what, fine, I'll just sit here and not do anything, is what it seemed like, and just argue with the people telling me what they think they should do. Now that's mostly like the Black's side of the whole Civil War. Like the politicking seemed not very good. Daemon, he was doing stuff, but it was taking so long, and at the end he does, end up becoming something, right? But everything else on the Black side just kind of seemed like spinning their wheels. And then they recruited dragon riders, which was the best part of the second half of the show. And you had some cool scenes with the dragons. Basically, every time the dragons are on the screen, it's captivating. It's crazy how awesome they look. They also make them have clear, distinct personalities too, in a way. Like you can really tell which dragon's which is, it's pretty cool, honestly. These creatures that literally aren't real in any way, having personality it's pretty cool. But seeing the taming of the dragon scene and how much terror and everything realistically like went on with that, like that scene was like the second half of the show's batshit crazy scene, which it was pretty cool. It was a badass scene seeing the one guy tame the dragon. I'm sorry for that spoiler, but someone does. I'm not going to tell you who, and it's really badass. But the green side, it seems like there's at least some people doing politicky Game of Thrones stuff getting their agenda. Mainly Aemon, if we're being honest. Aemon seems like he's goddamn gone crazy. He's putting his foot down. He's making shit happen to push his own agenda, to get himself forward in the world and stuff. He wants blood, basically. He knows he has the biggest fucking nuke in the world, so no one can really fuck with him if he is within, somewhat of a distance to Vhagar. That part of it was cool. Seeing other smaller things. It just seemed like there was so much stuff that didn't really matter that ended up not really getting a big payoff either. Like in the finale, the one Lannister goes out goes to Essos, whatever, to get the pirates to help. Like they spent what felt like way too much time over there, that in the finale, especially because it was a finale, which makes it feel like there should be 2 more episodes. But there's that, and then there's also the whole part of like the last 2 episodes. I think it started in the 7th. Reina, the one girl that does not have a dragon, that was sent to like watch the kids and everything. It makes no sense. The whole thing, it's the dumbest thing that the season, like overall, it's the dumbest thing. The meeting of Alicent and Rhaenyra will be the dumbest things in my head. But like from a whole thing, this girl, as soon as she leaves to go with her uncles, cousins, I don't know, it's Targaryen family, it's all fucked up. As soon as the gates close, there's a whole party walking away, and she just runs through the grass. There's no trees in this field. It's literally just open, kind of longer grass, some rocks, some streams, stuff like that. She just runs out the side and just runs. And it doesn't seem like anyone's following her. It doesn't have anything of people like tracking her. Like whoever the party is that was supposed to, they probably all should be murdered. The fact that they just let that happen. And then you have to watch her chase or track, I guess, this dragon for bits and parts throughout the episodes, and you're thinking like, I don't really care about, like, she's on foot chasing a dragon. It makes no fucking sense to begin with, like realistically. But near the end, she finally gets there, puts on the stupidest face ever, it seems like, and then it kind of ends, and you don't see her actually tame the dragon. Like, you don't get the payoff. You get all this build up that wasn't even like exciting, and then no payoff either. It just seemed like, okay, you could have in between seasons just told me she fucking got the dragon at that point. It was weird, but they were building it up that, oh, she doesn't, she's pissed off. And then when it's the time of her actually getting one, they don't show that moment, which was just, that was crazy. It also other moments of like, people feel like there's a little bit of time travel-y BS going on in this. I don't know. Game of Thrones near the end started having this problem where people would just kind of, instant transmission and whatever to other areas, which takes you out from the immersion. Obviously, you think of this world and everything, and I don't know. Just season 2, it definitely was a full setup, build up, which feels weird, mainly because it feels like there's going to be so many goddamn fights in season 3 now that's all it's going to be. Like, it's literally just going to be the entire war. But I don't think they're going to do that, because realistically, history's probably repeat itself. End of season 1, it seemed like there was going to be a bunch of battles. There wasn't. Season 2, we're going to war. I bet it shows half the battles people thinks, fills it in with other smaller politicky stuff or stuff they add, and they string it out for like a season or 2 longer, probably 1 season longer than they should. I don't know. I just think it's a damn shame that we're going to have to wait like 2 years to get any sort of payoff for basically this entire season. Hopefully, in between season, these characters, figure it out that they have to be borderline psychotic to win the Iron Throne, which is what the whole point of this is, right? But be sure to let me know what your thoughts were on House of the Dragon Season 2 overall, and the finale, what the finale kind of did for you in the comments. Consider liking the video if you enjoyed. Consider subscribing. Helps the channel a bunch. I'll be back on Friday. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.